My name is Mindy Kernett. I am the current president of the Wimberley Lions Club. I am the 57th president of the Wimberley Lions Club. How about that? We have a new president every year, and somehow we seem to pull this off. So, thank you so much, all of you from the community who came out who aren't Lions. We have quite a few Lions in the room representing. I wanted to give you just a 60-second spiel about the Lions Club in our town. When I moved to to Wimberley in 2019, wasn't, I spent like a whole year in my house basically. Didn't meet anybody. I did not know much about Lions Clubs or what Lions Clubs are, and I'm so happy that I ventured out and met all of these great people. We do a lot of wonderful things. So our Lions Club, I'm sure many of you are aware, but if you're not, we run Market Day. We own Market Day. We own that land out there. We don't just run the parking. A lot of people that I've met think that you guys do the parking at Market Day. No. Yes, we do. We do the parking, we run the concessions, we lease all those booths out to people and maintain the property. It's 10 days a year. It takes over 200 volunteers to run Market Day. We have 160 members. Not all of the members are healthy enough to be able to work at Market Day, so we rely a lot on the community to help us to run Market Day. Everybody who's working there is a volunteer. And we take that money that we raise from Market Day, and I had to make a list because it's so big, all of the things that we do with that. We give out scholarships every year to graduating seniors. Right now we have, I think with each of the years of kids in school, we have somewhere between 35 and 40 kids that we're giving scholarship money to currently every semester. And those are kids from the Wimberley community. We give out grants. We do between 20 and 35 different non-profits will get grants every year from the Lions Club, and we've done that for years. So we have a grant season. So one year we gave $120,000 out. Another year we gave $50,000 out. It just depends how well we do at Market Day. We bring exchange students in from other countries, and we also send exchange students out from Wimberley to foreign countries. So we have the fantastic exchange students program through Lions International. We do vision screening and diabetes screening. We do glasses and hearing aid recycling. We also give out glasses vouchers for people who can't afford glasses. We have roadside cleanup along 12. We run the Shred It cleanup and prescription disposal days. We are a big part of the Texas Lions Camp for handicapped children out in Kerrville, which is a fantastic organization. We are the local Boy Scouts sponsor. We sponsor 2 Leo's clubs, one at Wimberley High School and then a new one for private and homeschool children. We do civic projects. We help to build this community center, actually. We put that little park down there by Cypress Creek that's like a little, it's right on this side of the creek, and it's like a little gazebo. We helped with Martha Nees Park. We helped with the Blue Hole. We just helped with a new Boy Scout hut because they had a fire and lost their hut. And now we have these quarterly community forums. So this club does so much great stuff for our community, and I'm really, really proud to be a part of it. And if any of you are interested in finding out more about being a Lion, you can find anybody in this room who's either got a yellow hat or a Lions badge on or whatever. They'd be happy to talk to you about it. You can do as much or as little as you can, and I can't speak. And I can't say like enough. So I hope you would consider joining us at some point. Anyway, this forum thing that we've come up with is we're going to be doing it quarterly. The last one we had last quarter was about the Body Farm. That was a great forum. This one we're doing on the tourism. You all know the subject. The next one in May is going to be May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and we are having a forum about Hays County parks with a big focus on the new Sentinel Park that's going to be opening in 2027. It used to be the Boy Scouts El Rancho Cima camp. It's going to be over a mile of Blanco River access for the general public, and so that's going to be something very interesting to learn about in May. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Frank, and he will introduce our speaker for the evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Mindy. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming to this community forum of the Wimberley Lions Club. On any given afternoon in Wimberley, you'll see it.
Microphone over.
Thank you. On any given afternoon in Wimberley, you'll see it. Full parking lots, busy cafes, and people actually stopping in the middle of Ranch Road 12 to take a picture or gawk at something about Wimberley. Tourists are woven into our daily life here in Wimberley. And how we manage that tourism matters to everyone that calls Wimberley home. This community forum recognizes the delicate balance that the City of Wimberley and its partner agencies are working to achieve. On one hand, welcoming visitors to Wimberley, that is, promoting Wimberley, while on the other hand, safeguarding the natural beauty, small town charm, and quality of life that we all love that makes Wimberley what it is. In other words, protecting Wimberley. Our thanks to the City of Wimberley for supporting this forum on the state of tourism in Wimberley. I want to introduce several people from the city tonight who are here. And please rise so everybody can see you. Mayor Jim Childs. Mayor Pro Tem Rebecca Minnick. Council Member Bob Clark. City Administrator Tim Patek, standing in the back. Development and Public Works Director Nathan Glazer. And I think in the back is Visitor Center Coordinator Gabrielle Snyder. There she is. And our speaker, Michelle Woods, is here tonight, which I'll introduce right now. Michelle Woods is Director of Tourism for the City of Wimberley. Michelle began visiting Wimberley with her family back in the 1990s. In 2010, Michelle and her family moved to Wimberley as Michelle opened 2 downtown businesses that are still continuing to operate. And she has 2 children who attend Jacobs Well and the Blue Hole Elementary School. So you can tell Michelle has roots in Wimberley, and she brings a balanced and professional perspective to the subject of tourism in Wimberley. In Michelle's own words, she is concerned about promoting Wimberley thoughtfully while protecting the community, climate, character, and the quality that makes Wimberley special. I'm really pleased to introduce the City of Wimberley Director of Tourism, Michelle Woods.
Well, good evening. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to see so many people out here. This is wonderful. I think it shows a lot of love and investment in our community. Tonight's topic, as you know, is tourism in Wimberley. What are we doing to promote it, and how are we protecting it? And why does this matter? Well, it matters because it affects residents, it affects businesses, it affects our daily life. And while I do think that much of tourism has a positive impact on our way of life in Wimberley, it supports the businesses and restaurants downtown that we love, there's also some obvious drawbacks. I think most of us in this room probably live here. I do. We raise families here, and we run businesses here. So I want you to know that every decision that Visit Wimberley makes around tourism is through that lens. Gabrielle and myself, we both live here and raise families here, so we share your concerns, and we're on the same page. So our goal tonight is transparency. I'd love for you to leave here with a little bit more of a shared understanding. Protecting Wimberley doesn't happen in a vacuum, and Visit Wimberley is not, we're not the only ones that are working towards that goal. So to start talking about tourism, I think it helps to start with where the money actually comes from for tourism specifically. The tourism department is funded by our local hotel occupancy tax, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. It's funded differently than most other city work. It is not a sales tax, and residents do not contribute to it. It is contributed to by the people that stay overnight in our lodging establishments, either within the city limits of Wimberley or within the ETJ. The only way that a resident would contribute to HOT is if they choose to stay overnight in one of those establishments. Also important to note is that HOT funds are state regulated. They do not go into a general fund that can be used for roads, etc., other things that seem to make a little bit of sense, but it's just not that way. The money needs to go directly back into promoting and marketing the city of Wimberley. Currently, we have about 125 lodging establishments that currently pay into the hotel occupancy tax. Let's go over some kind of high-level data. Visitor days. 2025 had approximately 1.3 million visitor days. Now, when I say a visitor day, let me explain that just a little bit. That's a reflection of how long people are here.
They can't hear you in the back.
Oh, okay.
Very good. So you can take it out of the thing.
Is that better? Is that better? I'll get closer. There we go. Okay. Visitor days. So that's a reflection of how long people are here, and it's not just a head count. A visitor day is one person in Wimberley for 1 day. 3 visitor days is one person in Wimberley for 3 days. So in 2025, we had approximately 1.3 million visitor days. That represents a 28% year-over-year growth over 2024, which is pretty remarkable. It's important to note that the visitor days does represent a mix of overnight stays as well as day trippers. Those are not all just overnight stays. And we do see some pretty clear seasonal patterns, January through December, which even if you don't know you're familiar with it, you're familiar with them, you felt them. The lows are January and February, and the peak months are typically June and July. This is data that we use to help make our decisions. Looking at some visitation patterns, there are some very predictable seasonal swings, and if we step back a little bit further, we can see some larger trends. We have about 3 to 4 years, full years of data at this point. So 22-23 was the first full year. 23-24, in retrospect, we see was kind of the post-COVID come down. For several years, people were just traveling nonstop. They were working from anywhere in the world they wanted to. And in 23-24 is when we kind of started to see that come to an end. Schools were back on regular schedules. 24-25 was more of a stabilization. Things went back up. 26 so far, it's a mixed bag. We're hoping to see just more stabilization, but it's a mixed bag at this point. We're very early into it though. So this again is just more data that helps us guide how and when we promote the city. Another data point that we trace is our hot gross revenue. So again, with this 3 to 4 year trend, we have seen roughly an 8% swing both up and down, which in the grand scheme of things is fairly stable for a lot of markets. Our average occupancy in 24-25 was 42%, with January and February being those lowest months, June and July being the bigger ones. We have also seen roughly a 14% increase in the average number of monthly payers into HOT. What that means is that there's roughly 14% more businesses paying in. That means there's more STRs in our neighborhoods. That is something that, if you're not aware, there's currently a moratorium on STRs. The city is actively assessing those numbers right now and looking at taking steps to protect those neighborhoods and the places that we call home. We don't want to see them overrun either. So to put all of this in context, historically, Wimberley is very economically resilient. Larger regional and national trends do impact us, but we do see much less extreme swings than other markets. And a lot of that stability, I firmly believe, comes back to our locals. Small business is the economic engine of Wimberley, and people in Wimberley truly show up for their small businesses. And I can attest to that during COVID. It was the reason that we were able at the coffee shop to stay open and alive. And I can assure you that at Visit Wimberley, we will work to keep things that way. So data gives us part of this picture, but there is another side. What are the issues? So currently the themes that we hear pretty consistently are parking, traffic, especially weekends, growth and protecting Wimberley's character, and water conservation. These concerns are very real. We share them, and we don't have an easy fix button for many of them, but we are trying. And let's talk about what we are doing. We'll start with parking and traffic. Weekend congestion through town, it's a nightmare. Parking challenges, and then pedestrian safety that comes along with all of the automobile traffic. So you know, the city does request an officer every weekend to help manage the crosswalks and traffic flow in town. These shifts rely on off-duty officers to pick them up because we don't have our own police department. So when you don't see an officer downtown, it's not because the city didn't request it or we didn't think it was important. It's typically because no one picked up that shift. And we do understand how frustrating that is, and we hear about it. And we are looking at some out-of-the-box solutions. One of the biggest problems is that not just anyone can man a crosswalk. So weekend enforcement does remain an ongoing challenge, but we are looking at it. A shuttle, so another thing that's discussed. This is also something that we're currently evaluating, gathering quotes on. We're looking at a hop-on, hop-off micro-stop style solution. We'd also prefer that it's eco-friendly. We're really looking hard at this because we don't just want a quick fix. We don't want to say we did a shuttle and then it's not something that people use, or it doesn't go far enough across town, or the stops are too close together, the timing is off, the routes. There are a lot of elements that go into really getting it right, and that's something that we want to do. So just know that a shuttle it's on the table, it's not being ignored. One of the biggest tools that we have at Visit Wimberley is better information. We are actively working to set expectations with our visitors before they arrive. We're working on clear guidance on parking options, letting them know about the community center and Oak Park. We are also encouraging this park once and walk more behavior. We are also encouraging midweek visitation. We're actively encouraging weekday stays. We're promoting as the quieter days. Sometimes you can have a better visitor experience when there's not hundreds of people around you. This goes to the idea that we're trying to spread the demand and not stack it all in a weekend. So a few projects that the city of Wimberley is working in coordination with us on. We've got a district-based monument signage project. City Council has approved the concept of some district-based monument signage. There would be 3 districts: Market District, which would be out by Lions Field; Midtown, which I believe will be right by Ace; and then Gateway, which will be out at the junction. So the idea behind these districts is to better identify and promote businesses within the designated area, breaking the town into some smaller but still large chunks. We want to help residents and visitors locate the place that they need to go, those points of interest, a little bit faster. We want a cohesive, intuitive system with clear visual markers and easier navigation. There's also a digital alignment piece of this. We'll be updating platforms like Google Maps. We'll have district markers and pins. Businesses will be clearly identified on all of the digital maps. We believe that when people know where they're going, they can move more efficiently and reduce congestion. We also have an urban trails project. The goal is to connect parks, parking lots, and downtown businesses. Improve walkability, ease parking pressure. These trails will be designed to include some educational elements. Some examples of the signage that really stuck with me when I heard about it was as simple as a sign that says 2-minute walk to the Wimberley Cafe, 3-minute walk to the public bathroom. Things that just subliminally put in people's mind, you don't have to hop back in the car and move it. In fact, that's probably going to take you longer than just walking right over. And this project will be designed to expand and grow over time. As far as our parking supply, the city currently owns and maintains approximately 350 free spaces near downtown. That does include Oak Park and the community center. In 2024, you remember the city did invest in repaving and restriping the square. That improved fire lane visibility. It widened the flow of traffic. There's also, you've probably seen these paid private lots that have been popping up. Those are helping during peak times. The city is not charging for any of their parking, so those are private lots, but those are helping. And additional options, such as leasing some private property downtown that the city could use for more free parking. So that's something that is actively in the works. Another way that we protect Wimberley is through how development is allowed and not allowed. And on that note, I'm actually going to invite Nathan Glazier up, since zoning is his cup of tea.
Thank you, Michelle. So my name is Nathan Glazier. I am responsible for enforcing our development code here in Wimberley. So I sign all of the building permits that come through my office. And I wanted to just briefly go over our zoning code, because I think zoning is really important when it comes to managing growth and development within the city limits. So zoning is an extremely powerful tool for government regulation. It's only given to cities in Texas, so counties do not have zoning authority. They cannot enforce use restrictions, but basically a city can pass laws that dictate how you develop your property. And this means where a building can go, how big that building can be, how tall it can be, and then also what you can do on the inside of the walls of that building, so what you can use it for, whether it's commercial or residential. The city of Wimberley fully enforces our zoning laws. Every piece of land within the city of Wimberley has a zoning district. There's 9 square miles in the city limits. 85% of it is single family. So the only thing that you can do on that property is have a single family residence or some form of approved agriculture or religious assembly. 5% is parks and public facilities. So that's going to be the blue hole. That's your schools and library and things like that. And then that leaves about 10% for commercial uses. So that includes all of your lodging and a very little amount of multifamily. So our main zoning restrictions that we have in the city of Wimberley is our height restriction. You cannot build a building in Wimberley that is over 35 feet tall or 2 stories. We have impervious cover restrictions. That depends on whether you're zoned commercial or residential, but it averages out to using about 70% of the land if it's in commercial, or about 30% if it's in residential. We have tree protection ordinances. So if there's a tree on a commercial property that is 24 inches in diameter or larger, you have to come to city council to ask to cut that down if you need to cut it down for your development. If it's between 8 and 24, you can cut it down, but you have to mitigate it by planting more trees on the property. So we enforce those rules. In the downtown, we have a special zoning overlay. It's called the Historic Preservation Overlay District. That was enacted in 2021, but basically if you're building a new building in the downtown, or you're making an exterior modification to a building in the downtown, you have to get special permission from the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's a permit. It's called the Certificate of Appropriateness. They review the architecture for what you're going to build. They make sure that it meets the requirements given in the City of Wimberley Historic District Design Guidelines. I have copies of these at my office. There's also a copy in the library, but it basically gives instructions on how to build buildings that look like Wimberley. So we enforce that. And we also have what's called a protected waterway overlay. This enforces setbacks as just for commercial, but commercial setbacks for creeks and rivers. So there can be no additional commercial encroachment basically in floodplain areas along creeks and rivers. But we do that every day. We have planning and zoning meetings every second Thursday of the month where we hear these types of things. A lot of them also go to our city council meetings. I'm happy to talk about this stuff whenever. I have a stack of my business cards on the table back there. If you'd like to grab it and give me a call, I'm happy to speak with you.
All right. Public safety and preparedness. Well, this is where we have some good news. We have not seen an increase in crime tied to tourism or a spike in alcohol-related incidents. So that's the good news. The main impacts from tourism do remain the traffic and the parking. That said, when it comes to emergency preparedness, this is something that our office is taking very seriously because we have obviously in Wimberley seen firsthand what can happen. And then unfortunately this summer we saw what could happen with our neighbors. We have been working with a couple of different groups on some magnets, and basically the idea being we want to get the information out to our overnight guests as well as residents. We have created, just within the last week or two, we have some in the back, but a magnet that gives you the most pertinent information on radio station and Facebook groups, where to look to get accurate information if there is an emergency. And so our goal is to get those out into every hotel room and STR. It's a magnet that can be put on the fridge and that our guests and our visitors and our locals too, anybody can have one. We don't gatekeep any of that kind of information. But that they have, just gives them a little bit more access to where to look so that when they come here, we can try to protect them too. We've also got on our website, we've got several different pages directing people to different places. We've spent a lot of work and a lot of time this past year on our website and really bringing it up to date and making it a very functional tool for the community. Gabrielle has spent a lot of time at the desk. Instead of putting a lot of the information off onto other people, we've just said, we're gonna handle it. We will update all of the businesses. We know just as well as anybody else, as long as they're up to date, then we know when something closes and when something new opens. So instead of asking those already busy business owners to handle that, we have just taken the step of saying, we got you. We update that website and keep it up to date for the shops, the businesses. And then also we've got some information on there. We have a page that's know before you go. We're trying to let them know things about parking, bathrooms, some of the basics so that hopefully when they get to town, they're ready. We've also got a couple pages on there that are, you're here, now what? That lets them know where their basic amenities can be found. And in addition, where they can go for first aid, emergencies, several different things like that that we know do and can pop up. Another issue is water conservation and infrastructure. We know water is finite, and we know our growth must align with infrastructure. So from a tourism standpoint, what we can do, our efforts include aligning our messaging with conservation efforts. We're encouraging responsible visitor behavior and trying to be thoughtful about what we do promote. We know tourism can't operate in a silo. We have to work within our limits. So we are trying to take a very conservative approach there. Let's talk a little bit about how we are promoting Wimberley, especially looking into 2026 here at the beginning of the year. Our focus, we came up with a new mission statement for our office this year, in our second full year. And supporting our lodging establishments is our first and foremost priority. Everything that we do, we will come back to that question. And how does this add? How does this piece of material support our hotel guests? We're also trying to promote nature and the arts and our music scene in Wimberley. We've got a very diverse arts and music crowd, and we're trying to always support those things. We're also trying to support our locally owned businesses, as well as some of the experiences that we have that are outside of downtown. The tools that we're using to do this: we have our Visit Wimberley website, which I just mentioned. We did create a redirect. It's visit78676.com. That's our local facing resource. We created that with locals in mind. It was one of the very first things I feel like we did last year. Because our full website is visitwimberleytx.org. It's a mouthful. It's not something I expect anybody to just be able to rattle off. But Visit 78676, I think, is something that we can probably all adjust in our brains. The idea was after the Do 512, something that we all know is something that we could remember. As we went through and updated the website, we looked at it as locals. And every page was designed to where if my husband and I are trying to find a place to go to dinner and we just can't think of anything, that we would want to go look at that. There are lots of filters, because I think being able to drill down mass amounts of information isn't always helpful. Sometimes you need to drill down pretty quickly to what you're looking for. So a lot of time and effort and has been put into that website and will continue to be, because that's our home base for all of our information. We also do a weekly events email that also come out from Gabrielle in our office. She's working on a newsletter, but the weekly events emails started because we were hearing about certain events that were wonderful, but they were canceled because not enough people heard about it. And we thought, how can our office help our local groups get the word out? Well, we have the ability to reach 125 short-term lodging operators. So we send out consistently a weekly email with a weekly roundup of what's going on in Wimberley. That way, everything from a jewelry making class at the art studio to a bigger event that maybe a tourist would hear about. But sometimes you never know what a tourist could be looking for, and it may be just that smaller detail. We have updated all of our visitor guides. That includes dining and shopping guides. Those have been updated this year. We will be printing those in small enough batches. We also took the work on that in-house. Instead of having to ask somebody else to constantly update those, we designed those in-house and we print them in small enough batches that at least probably quarterly we do a reprint, and we'll put on the front cover spring 2026 or something, so you know what edition it is. But again, it was about getting the information up to date, and then once it was, now we know we can stay on top of all of those changes. So new dining and shopping guides, as well as a map. We also have a new venue guide that's coming soon, probably later in 2026. That's a brand new idea, but we're working on that and excited about it. And then we're doing new photography and video content downtown. Digital and print advertising contracts with a media company called AJR, and social media planning and scheduling. So our promotional is intentional, is the message that I'm trying to relay. It's targeted, it's intentional, and it's focused on managing demand. It's also based, again, with the idea of keeping locals in mind. Every way that we approach the information is, as a local, how can this benefit us too? So we believe tourism does create opportunity, but it doesn't guarantee instant success. I think one of the other things that is a little bit hard to talk about, but that we're seeing downtown, is opening a business downtown is no longer a guaranteed automatic success, whereas 10 years ago you could have probably said that. The same is true for our lodging operators. There's more competition and there's a longer ramp-up period. I think new business owners should also be prepared to invest more in marketing than they would have in the past. Our goal is to help create resilient businesses and avoid these boom and bust cycles. So another concern that we hear, affordability. Are locals being priced out? Unfortunately, at this point, affordability is more of a regional central Texas issue. There's not a lot at Visit Wimberley or the city level that we can do. There's a lot more factors than just tourism that go into this. But we do know that our tourists support our local businesses. They keep those jobs and those businesses thriving. And in addition to that, we also know that if we get to the point where we price out our locals, then we can lose kind of what makes Wimberley special. So that's something that we do keep an eye on. Like I said, there's not too many factors there that we can control, but we do have awareness. So where are we headed in 2026? Our office's goal is sustainable tourism, not just unchecked growth. We want a downtown that works for locals and visitors. We want to help sustain the natural beauty that is Wimberley, that we all love. We want to make data-driven decisions. We have a willingness to adjust. We have a path forward, but we know that we always must be willing to adjust. And we have a stewardship mindset. And with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. And you can, the rest of the city is here as well to answer questions. Yes, Ken.
Michelle, how do you keep track of the day trippers? Is that just kind of an average?
Right now, that is just part of the data. Datafy is where we get a lot of those data numbers that I showed you. And they do run about 6 weeks behind, so I can't go look at last weekend. The day trippers are a little bit harder to pull out. We're kind of taking the stance that we know that the day trippers can turn into overnight stays. So I guess we kind of have to blur the lines a little bit. We don't have a distinct way of pulling that out specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So I have two questions. So that information that you do get on visitors, is that based on like overnight stays? Is that how they're collecting that data?
So that a lot of the information you're probably talking about again comes from Datafy. That's a company that they use cell phone data. So they track not personal information, but where your cell phone is registered, where it's from. They track how many of those are in town, where they're from, how long they stay, the points of interest that they go to. We can see that kind of information.
So my second question is, has there ever been any discussion about having some kind of for locals to have some kind of a discount card or something like that for local restaurants or businesses that could maybe encourage, or because I know some places do give a discount.
They do.
If you're local, if you mention that. So
I hear
didn't know
that.
if there was something broader that people might support, or a day like, oh, Wednesday is not a day that a lot of people come for a day.
It's Wednesday.
So make Wednesday locals night or whatever.
That is something that comes up at a lot of the smaller, we've got a merchants group as well as a food and beverage committee, and that is something that comes up. And I think what it boils down to is it's each business's choice. But we do have a lot of events. The merchants downtown have the sip and shop nights. Those are about 4 or 5 times a year. It's on a Wednesday to encourage, it's for the locals to come out. So that's really going to be more of a business to business kind of decision. I don't have a broader plan on that. Yes?
Is there any effort to be proactive in trying to provide, talking about affordability, to provide for gig workers to be able to live close enough to effectively make a decent living while they're serving our visitors as well as us?
Anybody else have a good?
So the city is working on updating its sorry about that. So the city of Wimberley is working on updating its comprehensive plan. If you go to thecityofwimberley.com, you can go to planning and development. There's a comprehensive plan section there where you can view the new plan and make comments on it. And housing availability is something that they're going to try and address and provide some guidance moving forward. It's not ready to be adopted yet. That plan will probably be looked at in the next few months, maybe adopted sometime in May. But it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing for a city like us to try and help with. But it's something that we're going to look at here in the future.
Sir, while you're up there, can you address Old Kyle Road? Just the status of one-way, two-way, no way? What's going on with Old Kyle Road, please?
I can. Tim, do you want to take that one?
Sure. The Old Kyle Road project, what they're looking at right now, and we went to our city council with that, is a one-way. And they're in the format right now of acquiring right-of-way for that. But their plans right now is a one-way with a roundabout down by Blue Hole and a one-way coming all the way up to Old Kyle. So, yeah, I'm sorry, up to 12. Sorry, thank you, Mayor. So up to 12. And we are looking at an alternative on Oldham, but that is still being talked about to help out there as well. But remember, this is a county project. They're the ones going after the funds. It's not city, but we are involved with them and talking to them and working on ways to make that better. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a timeline on that?
Timeline on the Old Kyle project?
Conversion of Old Kyle Road.
Yeah.
In one way.
They told, the county told us that if everything goes accordingly with the right-of-way acquisition and so forth, you know, sometimes people don't want to do that, so you have to go to condemnation to get that done. That's going through the courts and takes longer. But they told us somewhere possibly to go out for bid in 2027. That's what we were told. It could be longer, it could be a little shorter. It all depends on the right-of-way acquisition. Yes, ma'am.
One thing I wanted to say about the one-way and the right-of-way acquisition, what we're finding is that, remember, we have businesses that are currently existing along Old Kyle Road, and if you remember, like further toward Blue Hole Lane, there's a drop-off there. So the right-of-way is super tricky, and it's not very wide. So that, and I will say this, it is not the bike lane that is creating this issue, it is the width of a road. So that in order to get two ways, you've got to be much wider, first of all. Second of all, I'll give you an example. Think of what is at Ranch Road 12 and Old Kyle Road. There is that beautiful tree, and then right across the street from it is another beautiful tree. And so if we're going to preserve the shade and the character of that road, this is not going to be a heavy traffic connector. It's going to have to be a road that still has that feel of Wimberley, that has sort of a natural aspect to it. I know that there's been some consternation about the bike path, and that the bike path is the problem. The problem is the whole width of the road. In fact, even part of the fishbowl where the radio station is might be in the right-of-way. So it is super tricky.
No.
Oh, of course not. But the issue being that it is very tricky because of what's already there. And I don't know about you, I am not willing to give up that tree. I'm not willing I don't want people screaming through there. If it's one way, it's a little bit slower, it has that character to it, and there should be a relief valve if we can figure out how to get that cut through. And that all of those things are in work now. It's just not as simple as it seems. And you know, there's certain things that always come up, and what comes up is the one way. We're working on it, but just the physical aspects of it are going to make it really difficult.
Hey Michelle, I got a question for you. So regarding development, what's the status of the hotel being built in the square?
Ooh, that would be.
I have not received any applications for that. So it went to City Council, I believe, last year. City Council approved a planned development district for that property, but we don't have any building permits or site permits that have been submitted yet.
Michelle, can you just talk a little bit about how you're using the hot tax and where you're promoting, kind of a few examples of how you're promoting Wimberley and where you might be doing that?
Yes. So with our contract with AJR, we pulled a little bit away from, we were doing basically print media. I pulled that this year and divided it into some digital and print media. Those are the big magazines. Those go in all of the major tourist offices and stops throughout the state. Then we're also we've done a big focus on our own digital media, creating our own social media, trying to create new content. We had great content from the prior tourism director, but we needed fresh stuff. So we're putting a lot of the budget into creating new content, paying influencers to come out and post. I would say, without going into crazy details, half of our monthly budget is spent on the print and the digital media with AJR, and then the other half we put towards our own internal digital media that we're working. We've got a woman named Katie Kiner who is in charge of our social media. She understands the delicacies. I think I've told a lot of people we're not perfect, but we're working on it, and we learn from everything. A lot of thought has to go into any post that we pay for and that we post. We share a lot of other things that come up, but we are very aware that we cannot just blindly start posting this business and that business and this place to stay. So we try to do topics like, as you see, best places with a hot tub, best places with a pool, best places on the creek, where we can fit a few more of those people in. We're also, as far as town goes, we're trying to feature different parts of town as opposed to businesses. We thought about featuring a business, and we realized after one, we realized pretty quickly that it's just not really, there's too many, it's not a sustainable solution. So right now, that's our focus. I can't remember if that fully answers your question, but that's a lot of where our head's at. That's what we're looking forward to. We do have a plan. It may not happen this year just due to budgeting reasons, but we'd like to do a media blitz, put together a big media blitz and invite, we'd get a big PR company on board and bring all the people to town, divvy them up, have them stay at different places, and just do a big blowout. But that if it doesn't happen this fiscal year, it's just a budgeting thing. But we are trying to make it happen, and we may be able to make a smaller thing happen. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Your main focus is Instagram and Facebook as far as social media goes, correct?
And I believe it's all shared to TikTok as well.
Oh,
no,
it
I'm
is?
sorry. It's not. We don't do TikTok.
Instagram usually can go to Facebook.
Yes.
So if we want to see where our money's being spent, we can actually follow those pages.
Yes.
And see the ads that you guys are putting together and the reels. And,
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not sure a lot of people.
That's where I see it.
Yes.
On Reels.
Yeah, so as a local, it's really nice to see it pop up in your feed and you say, oh, that's Wimberley right there, that's us.
Yes, and then that's where, thank you for saying that. That is where we're trying to push out the information. One of the recent posts we did maybe last week was why to come to Wimberley when it's slow. It's quieter, it's easier, it can be more enjoyable. That's where we're trying to push out a lot of what I was explaining earlier, so thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the budget because we know that we have a very narrow number of things that we can spend. Is it 8 or 9 things that we can? It's up to 11. But that tells you something. You have this pot of money and it is restricted by the state. And if you can, every so often they add to that. In my opinion, they should have sidewalks and parking should be part of that. That has an impact, even roads. Tourism has an impact on the city. The problem is we can't do it. But I will give you an example. One of the things that we can spend the money on because we are a city of a certain size is dark sky lighting. And so that dark sky lighting makes a huge difference. It lights those parking lots that we have and some of the darker pathways. And so that is something that's been added. The other thing that we can spend the money on are shuttles. And the shuttles, you know, we're really trying to figure out how we can work this shuttle thing without it creating too much expense in my opinion, over time, what we're seeing from the state is they're continually adding things that we can spend that hot money on. The issue becomes that it's the large cities that can spend the money on convention centers and sports arenas and things like that. That's not helping us. So, we're trying to do what we can to advocate for a city our size. We have the money for the crossing guards comes out of the general fund. We can't pay those crossing guards, the LEOs that we need for that. We can't pay for those out of hot money. And when do we need them? Market day, when we have big events like Arts Fest and that kind of thing. And so that's on the city. So, it's just helpful to think of how we might be able to expand that and how we can utilize every cent of it. So I wanted to make sure that we got that part of it in. I think also what's happened is what's good for tourists is often good for us. It's better that we have more restaurant options now and that we have a little bit more income for things like dark skylighting. That's something that we all can use now and that we're all getting the benefit from. So we always have those things in mind.
I'll add real quickly too. This past year was both Gabrielle and I's first full year in the office, and as we reflected on it, we realized that without really intending to, our mindset in year one was to lay a foundational layer. There was a lot of little things in the community that we felt like needed a home. A community calendar, consistently updated website with all of our business listings. So without really intending to, we were laying a foundational layer last year. We started, we kept up with Hometown Holidays. We also started that website, which will go on from year to year. And then we started the New Year's Eve event. So this year, in year 2, it is part of our mission statement that and I'm saying it out loud, accountability. Our office is not going to be planning any more large-scale events. They take a lot of time and effort. So everything moving forward this year, it goes back to promoting those lodging establishments and overnight stays. We're proud of the work that we did last year in laying the foundational piece, but now it's time. Everything we do, even on these banners, the city works in coordination on the banners, but we've been doing the last few. We're putting little taglines that encourage staying longer, experience more. Every single thing that we put out of our office, I hope that you'll see is encouraging staying overnight, not just the day trippers, which we love, but trying to encourage that overnight stay. That is part of our office mission statement this year. Yes.
So I want to go back to the hot tax topic. So is there an advocacy group of communities that are like-minded that would like to see the use of the hot taxes expanded to a larger, list of things to do? Or can you talk to your state representative to try to get that expanded?
So what we found is we go to Texas Municipal League every year, and we have the small cities roundtables generally. This is a topic that we all discuss. The advocacy comes from the Texas Lodging Association. Those are the big guys. That's the Hiltons and the Marriotts and that kind of thing. So we all are sort of engaged in working together. There is a subgroup in the TML that's the small, the small downtown areas. So you have places like Bernie and Green and things like that. You're absolutely right. That advocacy. I mean, the way TML does, it's 25,000 in population and above. We're less than 3. But we are not alone, and so something like that is valuable. We kind of do it in concert with these other guys, but it would be good to have a little coalition on that. And we do make a little bit of noise sometimes, so we'll slow progress. But the inconsistency of having to do it with elected officials rather than staff, doesn't give you the consistency that you need. And then you don't have, because they're small guys, they don't have the financial clout that the bigger guys would have. So there's some exchange, but probably not enough.
So we can really only regulate short-term rentals within city limits. So there's a moratorium on that at the moment. It'll lift March 6th. But in the ETJ and areas surrounding the city limits, we don't have any say on those.
I don't think I saw it in the presentation, but I'm curious, was there information with regards to job creation or just opportunities related with the tourism growth?
I didn't have any included in there. I don't have any good data on that. That was a very interesting question. Sorry. No, you're good. Fire away.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you, both of you, and for stepping into a position that was just really needed. And we as vacation rental owners have seen all the hard work that you guys are putting in, and I've seen the benefits of it. So thank you very much for that. And is there a way or a part on the website to see a list of what all the businesses that contribute to hot tax, who they are and what they actually pay, like a dollar amount? Like, can I see where we rank in the list of?
That is not on, it's not on the website. What I could probably do is, I don't know legally, but without giving away too much information, I could probably tell you where you rank in there without maybe telling you who's above you.
I know we can figure it out state-wise, because we have to stay on state tax too, but I just didn't know if there's a local way to see.
Yeah. So we do see the monthly remittances. We also have quarterly remitters too, but how much they pay. So we can rank, if you will, who the highest payers are. And I would say, kind of offline, without, like I said, without sharing maybe where anybody else is around you, I could probably tell you sort of where you fall. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not that it's not public, but it's not out there.
Earlier in your presentation, you gave us a lot of great information about your websites and where you can go for different things, but it seemed like a lot. Is that on the magnet in the back? Or
you can grab those. I am also happy to email that the presentation out to anybody that would like it. If you email us, we'll be happy to send you a copy of it. And if you think of any questions, any more data, I would like to be as transparent as possible.
Well, I was wondering about the email that goes to the STRs about what's coming up this week. Mm-hmm. Can someone sign up for that as well, or is that strictly?
And I will let Gabrielle answer your question. She's
great. Thank you.
My counterpart in the office. She works on it.
Hi. The question was, how do you get on our email list for the weekly events? So it started off as just kind of a way to keep the lodging owners informed and a way for them to pass along to their guests that there's more than just what's going on that you could see on the surface. So because of that and it being successful, we created a MailChimp account that we can kind of blast out to everybody. And right now, you know, I'm still learning, still working through the procedure of getting all the right, you know, email lists in place. But on our website, there is a place to sign up for a newsletter, and we're going to be doing a quarterly newsletter. And we also take that same weekly event roundup and do post it on our social media pages. So as Michelle mentioned, we do have a social media coordinator, and she basically takes the graphics that are created in our office and reposts them. So that's a great way to keep up and see those graphics without necessarily having to fill your email inbox every week. But that said, you're more than welcome to touch base, and if you want that email every week, I will put you on that list.
I think the information for the SDRs is great, and I don't know about anybody else here, but 3 weekends in February, we have people coming from out of town because they want to come to Wimberley. So I'm just thinking, you know, it would be really helpful to say, hey, this is what's going on in the city.
Well, there's one other way that you can get that information, and it is on the website.
Well, and which website are we talking about? Visit
Okay.
78676?
Yes, so visit 78676 is just a simple redirect that takes you, it's an easy to remember redirect, and it takes you directly to the Visit Wimberley website. And we can even show you if you want, toggle to it. Okay, so there's a couple of materials on the back table that do have a little QR code. One's a magnet, one's a sticker, one's one of our brochures. And you can get to this website that Michelle is putting up on the screen. And in the right-hand corner in the tabs, there's local events. Businesses all around town submit an event to our website, and it lands in my email box, and all I have to do is click approve. So that's easy peasy. The other thing that's kind of a local perspective is the fact that I'll sit in my comfy chair in the evening, scroll through Facebook, see what's going on, send myself a reminder, and then I upload them. So like, not everybody has the moment to upload their event to Facebook, to Visit Wimberley, to all the platforms. So when I see something that looks really relevant, I input the information. And so this list that you can see here is the current events that happen. And actually at the beginning of this year, through our mission statement of supporting overnight stays, I took the time to upload many events that last throughout the entire year, or make sure that the ones that we know repeat every year are loaded. So you could go to November and see that the date for the big holiday parade, maybe not all the details are correct, but the date is correct. So there are events that are throughout the entire year on there to help people plan their stay or their guest stay in Wimberley.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate all y'all's efforts in planning, and having been born and raised here 72 years ago, I wish this happened a long time ago, but I do thank you for promotion stuff. Have any ideas what we're going to do on growth with this quick promotion? Because it's going to affect us a lot.
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I couldn't.
You were talking about growth. What are we going to do for projections with growth?
Projections with growth. You know, when we were incorporated and we first passed those early laws with zoning, they were kind of already geared towards growth. So I would say we're going to do more of the same. We're going to keep enforcing our zoning laws. We're going to look at every building application with as closely as possible to make sure that it's following all of those land use laws and restrictions that we have on the books already.
Didn't you say we have some of the more strict zoning?
Another thing with growth, what happens is, like with our wastewater, we have no plans to extend any of that. So that also promotes not growth. And so you have to understand that as well. Also, the water issue that we have, that's another thing. So our comprehensive master plan is looking at all of that and being able to put that together so our citizens can see that and be able to go from there, as the rest of our council and mayor as well.
You might just remind everybody, you only have 9 square miles that you're responsible for.
Yeah, I think he mentioned that earlier when he was up there.
Yeah, but you might remind them.
I want to thank all of y'all for coming. I particularly want to thank the City of Wimberley, all the staff and council people that have come to help answer your questions. A special thanks to Michelle for putting this program together. And if you're interested in the Lions Club and future forums, stay in touch with us. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you guys.